Let's make this confessional numero uno. Star date T minus 2 days to B day. And what have I learned in 31 years? Excuse me, 30 years, 363 days. I have learned that I do not need anything to make me happy, because if my happiness resonates from within, then it's not being happy that I enjoy. It's kind of giving the happiness to others when they don't have it themselves. And kind of, I wouldn't say a knack, because a knack would suggest some type of successful rates to it. But I do think, and I firmly believe that, in the sense of being there for others in ways that people couldn't or wouldn't, or I alienated from the situation to be there for me. I realized that, even though I may have went through it alone, doesn't mean that the next person should. And I think that's what makes us all stronger, is if we all just reach inside of ourselves and stop feeling bad for things that, we didn't have done, and just try to reach out to others in ways that, when others didn't reach out to us. And I think you'll find a sense of closure that you have from those instances, and you feel a sense of like a monkey off your back release, or a nice boring date with your girlfriend, because it's one of those things where you just feel like, wow, I can do this. Which brings me to point two. Point two is a saying that I've learned from the Illuminati Facebook, so I wish to take no credit from this, but I do take credit in its distribution, so fuck you, pay me. It is all about money, right? So, yes I am. I have truly learned to be happy without the things I thought that I could never live without. I've been forced to live without my 3 boys that I were horrible to. Not in the sense of how I treated them, but how in the sense of like complacency that I was, that I felt that I was doing enough, when now I look back and I understand why everyone was so disappointed in us. We didn't do our best. We didn't try to do our best because we didn't know how. No, we didn't know what our best was. Every time we thought we bested ourselves, we realized that it wasn't even a best. It was something that we were more supposed to do. It wasn't a bettering feeling. It was more of a downer, like we could have done more. And I faced that demon. And I don't think Sarah has. Will she ever? No, she won't. That would insist that she would need to place herself in a zone of silence, to where she is no longer surrounded by people who are only interested in agreeing with her to either A, get in close, B, get inside, or C, just get in. Ashley, point 3. Ashley Render has been there for me for God. I don't even know why. She does. She says it's love. I say she's just crazy. Alright, she's on the phone right now. So I don't know why, but I feel a sense I feel like this is where my whole feeling of wanting to be there for someone is more of a having to be there for someone. Because when you want to be there for someone, you never really are. But whenever they need something and you're the only person that's there, they wouldn't forget it the next day, because 8 out of 10 times it's probably some type of inebriating substance that elevates their emotional state to a point of kind of boiling over. I relate this more to a cook who's making a very nice sauce and, doesn't pay attention. Hence, that's why I didn't add the sous chef part to it, because that's why he's still a cook. Those little things that we mislook are the one things that truly kind of put everything together to make us realize the entire lesson that we're actually trying to teach ourselves. And not that life's teaching us, because we're the one that's actually going through this. We're living this, we're breathing this, but yet we're never ever really facing this. We deal with this, we cope with this, but we never really conquer that. We're always trying to take on another event before we're even bettering ourselves. And it's an admirable trait to have, but it eventually leads to being drained because you literally gave your all and got nothing in return. And that's the whole point. And I guess this leads me into point 4, which will close it. Always remember, love is not just one emotion. Love isn't a end-all be-all. Love is supposed to be the culmination of a cornucopia of emotions, just a huge just platter, just thrown all together in such a beautiful found, just an arrangement that is, you can tell somebody put time and effort into it. And it makes it easier to appreciate, and when you appreciate, you learn love. And point 4, yes, would just be simply this. Remember that in love, because it is not just one emotion, when you choose to love another human being that is not directly from your lineage of blood, and it is from an outsider, so it's usually going to be someone that you consider to be a soul or life mate. When you give your love, that is a linguistic metaphor for you are actually giving a piece of yourself to that person. It's our sacrificial offering to one another to kind of to anoint the relationship and kind of signal the heavens that we decide to give one another to each other. And people think that starts at marriage, and it's not. That's totally untrue. Maybe back in the olden days, okay, but nowadays people give themselves before marriage, and then they wonder why they never want to get married. It's because they have nothing left to give. Because for one, when you give yourself to that person and that relationship doesn't work out, you're never ever going to get that piece back. The reason why, it's not like they're selfish, is that they physically cannot remove that piece of them. It is now a part of you. That's why they always say, I always have a special place in my heart. It's literally true. They do, but they can't give it back to you. And that's why, sometimes attachments can lead to insanity and passion and murders and niggas getting their dicks chopped off and thrown in a bag of ice and then tossed out in the middle of a road, and and 12 years later we're still talking about, I wonder what John Bobby Wayne's dick looks like. But he should have learned, that we all need to realize that just because a relationship doesn't work out doesn't mean that you're not going to be fine. It hurts because, that person just ripped that piece of you out. And you have to give yourself time to heal. And you can't just be, we're all not Kobe Bryant or Adrian Peterson, where we can heal miraculously from these just incredibly devastating injuries that most others are career ending or they will never return back the same. We're not all like that. We need to allow ourselves a brief period to reflect and be introspective on ourselves, because in the end, that's all we will ever have. Everyone may abandon you because of your beliefs. People may turn on you just because of the safety of their own family is of their best concern and where yours isn't. And it's not through any fault of theirs. It's called self-preservation. And if you're able to heal properly, whichever way you feel you can get it accomplished. Me, personally, I used methamphetamines on July 4th, and it was the best decision I've ever made. It led to a lot of bad decisions that I made, but in the end, I wouldn't be here right now if I hadn't gone through that. And so to say that I wish it never happened would almost be to say that I wish I wouldn't be sitting here documenting what I feel sometimes gets left unsaid. People just, they know, but they don't want to hear it. I'm not a preacher. I'm not anything religious. I just want to make sure that people, if I ever decide to let any of these go, just know that there are certain people out here who are just really trying to show others that there's a way that you can be that doesn't have to be the way that you always had to be. Change is a very good thing, but first, change has to come from within. You accept it, and then it becomes a part of you, and then you realize that it wasn't the change that affected you, it was your fear of the unknown. That'll lead us into tomorrow's topic, which will be fear. Don't get me started. Thank you, Ashley Render, Dorian Dorsey, Damian Dorsey, Devin Dorsey, Keaton, and probably Anunnaki is what I hope his name will be. I do this for you because I know you guys will never hear it. And even though people don't like what I have to say because to them I state the obvious, they don't understand the true meaning of stating the obvious sometimes. Stating the obvious is best because sometimes the most obvious things go left unsaid. And with that, thank you, Renner Center, for letting me steal your TV and your glorious computer. I want to say fuck you, but you know what, Blake, you're a cool dude. Blame the nigga in me because you kept calling too much. I knew I was gonna pay, motherfucker. But you guys are cool. Everyone, good night.